Israelis have cast their vote in the national election this week, and final results are in. With 31 Knesset seats, Netanyahu's party is the largest party, however not as large as anticipated. And former TV star Yair Lapid formed the second largest party. With 19 seats, his centrist Yesh Atid party was the biggest surprise of this election. And most of the election results seem to show a shift in Israeli priorities.
This is a very important election. What it showed is really a shift in Israel's affairs from what I will call a center-right government or right-wing government to a government that is going to focus on issues pertaining to the Israeli society, the economy, the sharing of burden, the relegation of ultra-Orthodox into the periphery, the re-emergence of the international posture of Israel as a centrist country rather than a right-wing country. So the results are forcing Bibi Netanyahu to choose a centrist posture rather than a right-wing posture.
Similarly to the previous 2009 election, 66% of Israelis voted in this election, with results showing one of the narrowest gaps between the right and center-left blocs in the Knesset.
The Israeli voters wanted to bring back to the fore the Zionist centrist ideology rather than the right-wing settler ultra-Orthodox ideology that dominated Netanyahu's first 4 years in office. And that is essential. It also wanted to bring to the fore the agenda of the Israeli middle class. It's not the middle class of social democracy that the Labour wanted, but it's the middle class that is basically saying to Netanyahu, we will no longer be able or desire to carry the weight of all your policies in the occupied territories, vis-a-vis the ultra-Orthodox, and so on our shoulders. We want change in the preferences that this government will take.
Many Israelis were convinced that Benjamin Netanyahu will most certainly continue to govern as prime minister in this new term as well, and therefore chose to give their vote to the smaller parties. And so Netanyahu, who was confident of his status, especially following his joint slate with Avigdor Lieberman, ended up with only 31 seats allocated to their Likud-Beitenu party. However, out on the streets of Tel Aviv, Israelis seemed pleased with the election results.
Benjamin Netanyahu it was obvious that he would be elected to be the new prime minister, but the fact that Yair Lapid got so many votes, I mean, maybe it means that the whole demonstration last year, the social demonstration, had a big effect. People want something new, something different.
For all the demonstration that was in the summer, now we see the result of these demonstrations. We don't want to see any more talking only about security and about fear. We want to see how we can actually live together here, religious and non-religious, foreigners and non-foreigners. We actually wanted to see a change, and we see it in this election. We see the change.
I think it's good for the country. I think that the representation is really balanced. I hope that Yair Lapid and Benjamin Netanyahu and the rest of the leaders of the major parties will be able to form a stable coalition, and that we'll have 4 years of stable governance.
In this situation, Yair Lapid has a power. I mean, Netanyahu will be the prime minister, but the power will be with Yair Lapid. He will decide which direction it will go.
The way the Israeli governing system works, the head of the largest party, in this case Netanyahu, will attempt to form a coalition and establish a majority of at least 61 of the 120 seats in the Knesset. Therefore, he will most probably need Yair Lapid in his coalition, rendering the inexperienced Lapid a great deal of power.
Netanyahu will no longer be a strong prime minister. He will be completely in the helm indebted to Yair Lapid. Yair Lapid can make or break this coalition, undoubtedly. Without him, nothing will happen.
Do you think this is Netanyahu's last term as prime minister?
Certainly Netanyahu's terms in office have not been a success. He succeeded in staying in office, but they themselves have not been a success. And that's why the public did not give him a vote of confidence. For someone who ran uncontested as the prime minister to garner only a quarter of the vote, he's no longer the king of Israel, he's hardly the prince of Israel, and people do not appreciate him or his venture. He's on his way out in many ways.
Upon the announcement of the exit polls, Netanyahu delivered his victory speech, promising a broad coalition, one he'll be required to form over the next month. And whereas in the last 4 years he emphasized Iran as Israel's greatest threat, the new coalition will seemingly force him to change gears, to stop avoiding negotiations with the Palestinians, and to focus on the social-economic issues at hand. For JN1, I'm Sivan Raviv, Israel.